Hello, my first grade friends. It's Mrs. Kemp, and today we are going to finish talking about the components of fictional narratives. So, on Tuesday, we talked about the different things that you need to include in your narrative, like characters and setting. There needs to be a problem and a solution. You need to be able to retell a few key main events. Then on Wednesday, we talked about introductions for narratives and how to start off your story so that the person who is reading it is going to want to keep reading and is going to be excited about reading your story. Yesterday, we talked about the body of your narrative, which is definitely the longest part by far. It's the part where you're actually telling the story of what happened and the events of your story in order. And today we are going to talk about conclusions. A conclusion is a way to wrap up the end of your story. So my little chart here says, in narrative writing, conclusions are also very important and come at the end of your writing. They can give a sense of closure and wrap up your piece. So basically what those mean is that it's giving the reader an ending and it's giving them a part of the story that is telling them that this is the end and there's kind of nothing else that they would really be wondering about. They can tell that the story is over right then. So some strong ways to end are using strong feelings, so having a character say how they feel about something, giving a suggestion, asking a question, and that was one of our strong ways to use to introduce a story, to use as your introduction. So you can ask a question as an introduction or as a conclusion. If you're using it as your introduction, though, I probably wouldn't use it as my conclusion. I'd probably pick a different one because you don't want to have too many in there. The next one is a vivid, strong image. So what that means is just you're saying something that is going to be easy for the reader to picture in their mind. So that kind of is similar to one of our introductions that was like being able to describe something in detail. Those are pretty similar to each other. So again, if you use that as a introduction, you might want to pick a different conclusion for that story. Another one is a lesson learned. Not every story has a lesson that was learned, but sometimes they do, and that could be a good way to end your narrative if you had a lesson in it. And then the last one is a hope or a wish. So one of your characters hoping or wishing for something. Ways that we're going to try to get away from using at our end is just saying the end, which I know a lot of books that you guys read say the end on the very last page, but we're going to try not to do that for right now. Another way not to end a story is by giving new information or new facts, because then the reader is going to want to know what happened with those. And then simply ending on the last event. So just saying that, like, Charlie found Toby, and then that's the end. So you want to kind of add one more thing on there to wrap everything up. So speaking of Charlie and Toby, I'm going to go to that story that I wrote yesterday. And we are going to add a conclusion onto here. So remember, my introduction is in blue. It's very short. It's only one sentence. My body is really long. That's where I'm basically telling my whole story. My conclusion is just going to be like my introduction. It's also going to be very short. 1 or 2 sentences. That's it. So when you are writing your story, you're going to spend the majority of your time writing the body, because that's the part where all the stuff is going on. Okay? I'm going to make my conclusion in red so it kind of stands out from the rest. So first I'm going to reread, because good writers, when they stop, sometimes you have to stop when you're writing, and that's totally fine. But to remember what you were talking about, you always want to reread your piece so that you can kind of get everything fresh in your head and be ready to go. Okay, so it says, woof woof, my name is Charlie and I'm a chocolate lab. I just got to the dog park and I am searching for my best friend Toby. He is always here when I am, but I don't see him. What should I do? First, I ran to the tunnels, but he was not there. Next, I will check the far corner where the weeds grow. He isn't there either. My owner said 5 more minutes and I can't find him anywhere. I circle around the park 3 more times. What a bummer. I really wanted to see Toby. We finally get into the car and go home. Guess who I found in my yard when I got home? It was Toby. So if I just ended right there, I would kind of be ending on the last event, this bottom one, which is red. We don't want to do that. I think I'm going to add strong feelings. I'm going to say how Charlie felt. And Charlie was looking for Toby all day. So if you were looking for something all day and then you finally found it back at your house, I think you'd feel pretty excited. So I'm going to say, I was so excited that I jumped up and down and spun around 3 times. Okay, it's just one sentence. It's super quick, just like our introduction. And it just kind of wraps up the end of the story. It tells how Charlie's feeling that he saw his best friend Toby. So I'm going to read my whole story one last time. Here's my introduction. Woof woof, my name is Charlie and I am a chocolate lab. Here's the body. I just got to the dog park and I'm searching for my best friend Toby. He is always here when I am, but I don't see him. What should I do? First I ran to the tunnels, but he was not there. Next I would check the far corner where the weeds grow. He isn't there either. My owner said 5 more minutes and I can't find him anywhere. I circle around the park 3 more times. What a bummer. I really wanted to see Toby. We finally get into the car and go home. Guess who I found waiting in my yard when I got home? It was Toby. I was so excited that I jumped up and down and spun around 3 times. And that last sentence, that I was so excited, that part is my conclusion. I was so excited that I jumped up and down and spun around 3 times. All right, so now that you know what a conclusion is, go ahead onto Seesaw and you can start your assignment for today. I miss you all.